Being a stay-at-home girlfriend or a 1950s housewife is not the cute aesthetic flex that you think it is. Let's talk about it. With the rise in tradwife content, as well as the sprinkle sprinkle movement, I feel like there's been a huge shift in aesthetics from the boss babe, girl boss messaging vibes of the earlier 2010s. And I don't think this is any coincidence that it is happening at the same time as our current political situation, to say the least, in the United States. Throughout history, women's economic dependence on men has been a huge contributing factor in gender inequality. Before women were allowed to vote, work, or own their own property, they were legally and financially tied to men, often leaving them powerless and unhappy in abusive relationships. In the 1950s, American women were pushed into the role of housewives under the guise of ideal femininity. Studies later showed that many of these women suffered from deep dissatisfaction and a loss of identity. Studies now show that women who have their own income and careers report higher levels of satisfaction and lower stress levels than those who do not. According to the American Psychological Association, financial independence is directly linked to better and clearer decision-making, higher life satisfaction, and lower rates of intimate partner violence. So it is definitely concerning to see all of this content across social media pushing this narrative that being a stay-at-home girlfriend or wife is the ideal. I would say especially girlfriend, because you don't have any legal rights to anything, so that man could kick you out at any point. But then even in marriage, you have to make sure that you always have a backup plan, because even if you are in the perfect relationship, you never know when you might need to start to make an exit plan. And this is not about shaming personal choices, but more so recognizing the bigger picture and recognizing that choice is power and knowing your options is power. This fantasy is kind of pushed for women of, you know, your ultimate life satisfaction and purpose, greater purpose, is to be a stay-at-home wife, mother, girlfriend, and that is simply not the case. I'm really grateful for social media to allow women to have a voice and to truly talk about what it is they're going through. I think it is important, if that is something you want to do, to look at the reality of it. I often on my podcast talk about how, again, this fantasy is pushed onto us of happily ever after. You just need to get married and have kids and your life will be perfect. But even if you do that, even if you are in a great, healthy relationship and you have a great pregnancy and everything is great, your life is still going to change. It's very stressful. Your entire perception of life and yourself changes, so I've heard. There also is definitely a blurred line between being taken care of and true independence. And I know I mentioned sprinkle. Shira 7 does not promote being completely financially dependent on a man. If you really listen to her message, she's about gaining your own independence and using the help from a man, if you want to be with a man, to invest in your own business, to start your own brand, to do what it is you want to do, go back to school, whatever. But some of the girlies who are giving advice are pretty much telling you to give up your independence to be with a rich man. And that does not end well, especially if you are going into it with desperation. I think a huge recent example of this is the new trophy wife. Her story blew up on social media a few months ago. She had a YouTube channel where she would give dating advice to women on how to secure a provider man, and she would often talk about how she was a single mom and, you know, she met this man that was basically perfect and wanted to provide a better home and just situation in life for her and her children. So she ended up having more children. She came out with this video pretty much saying that he did the worst possible thing a man could do in that situation. You can watch the video if you want. It's pretty triggering. People definitely had mixed opinions. Now she's spoken about how she has so many legal bills and now she has all these children to take care of and it's just really, really hard. So I think that is kind of a cautionary tale of what happens when you 100% are dependent financially on a man. It can all fall apart. A lack of financial independence can often equate to a loss of freedom and decision-making for your own life. And we've been kind of programmed to think of that as normal, when no, you should be able to make your own life decisions. You shouldn't have to ask your husband for permission. A lot of men, unfortunately, will kind of use that against you. If you are doing something that he doesn't like, it'll be like, well, I pay the bills around here, so you have to do what I say. And that is not a true partnership. So there's definitely a difference between true luxury and financial dependency. Money is not everything. Like, money is everything in this world, you know? Not inherently, but just as a result of this world. If you are giving up basically your entire sense of self, your own dreams, your own goals, your own voice, that is always going to end badly because you have to live with yourself at the end of the day, and nothing is worth that. You know, you could buy all the designer in the world, you could have a man that gets you flowers every day after work, but if that is coming with a price tag of feeling just a lack of sense of self, mental health issues, and like you're essentially trapped, that is not worth it. So there is a fine line, because at the same time, I think there also kind of is this problem, should we say, a lot of women are running into when dating these days, where a lot of these, especially younger guys, but sometimes it's older guys too, don't want to pay for anything, or they always want to go 50-50. We still live in a patriarchal society that men directly benefit from, so I do think if you are going to be with a man, he should be trying to make up for that and be trying to make your life easier and like support you in your dreams and goals. And that doesn't always just mean financially, rather than, okay, you're with a controlling boyfriend that also wants you to pay. You know, I think the opposite of the, you know, sassy man that wants you to pay for everything and take him out and buy him flowers, I think the opposite of that is not a man that pays for everything and like wants to control you and wants you to just literally be like a trophy. I don't think that's like a healthy opposite. Maybe it's on the other side of the spectrum as far as extremes go, but I think if you are looking to partner with a man, you need to find somebody who still lets you be you and maintain that sense of self and autonomy and values your opinion, and also wants to make your life more comfortable and easier and understands, you know, that we live in a society. And that can be very hard to come by. But I truly believe that being alone as a woman and working on yourself, building your own community and doing what it is you want to do in this life, and I don't even want to say waiting for the right guy, but not settling, is way better than settling for either of those two extremes. Being an independent woman with options is the real flex. And I think the issue is a lot of women don't necessarily have an example of this. I think luckily due to social media, we can be exposed to more options and see what is possible. But if in your direct family, everyone just followed the tradition of being a stay-at-home mom or whatever, which that, it's like, there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. I think the stay-at-home girlfriend thing is really dangerous and dumb. Like, at least you should be going to school, you should be making money online, you should be doing something. But even when being a stay-at-home mom, you still have to make sure, and I hear this from so many mothers, make time for yourself, have your own thing, whether that's a hobby, whether that's, you know, a business idea, whether that's just taking time to make yourself feel and look good. Because again, you could have an amazing partner, it still is very life-changing. And it's not just this like cute, quaint cottagecore aesthetic or like luxury mom with a chic stroller outside a G-Wagon, like matching two-piece set with a headband, and then her and the baby are wearing matching outfits. Aesthetic, like, you know? So break free from the fantasy that this is, you know, something that's just going to give your life ease, peace, and like security, because in so many instances it doesn't. And you need to find that within yourself and make sure that the energy of the man and the potential relationship matches your inner energy of like peace, calm, clear decision making, clear vision of what you want in your life, rather than just kind of forcing that idea onto something because internally you feel kind of desperate or like scrambling, or like you don't have a sense of self and you think that will give you one, like filling that role. Because again, so often it doesn't. And also, you guys, insider tip and trick, I actually did learn this from Shira 7, but if you are going on a date, especially like the early stages, and the guy asks you what you're looking for, do not say marriage and kids. This is one of the first tips I picked up from Shira 7. Because, and I had an example recently, a guy asked me, so what are you looking for? And I am used to this question being asked at this point. I know why they're asking it, which I'll get into in a second. But what you always say is, I will know it when I see it, or I know it when I see it. And this guy actually pressed me a little harder. He was like, well, what does that look like to you? And I went on. I was like, To me, it means personal fulfillment, feeling good from within, because I think that's the most important thing, regardless of anything external. And he was so blown away at that because, and he literally said this, he was like, most girls say they want marriage and 6 kids. Wow, like I'm just so surprised. And he literally, guys, this word for word, he was like, you're not giving me the playbook on how to make it easy. Like, wow, you're going to make me work for it. So basically, the insider info is that guys ask you this so that they can kind of fit that role temporarily to string you along to get what they want, which is like to sleep with you or whatever. That's usually the case. But when you don't give them the exact step-by-step playbook of like, well, I want a guy that does this and that, and I want to get married, and like they just kind of know what it is you're looking for. And I think especially when so many girls say that answer when you're like in the dating pool and you don't say that, it kind of makes you stand out. And this is not like, oh, this works, get any guy by using this trick. It's like, this kind of weeds them out, because if this guy's just looking for like an easy thing, like he just wants to hook up, he just like, maybe he just wants like your energy from you, this will deter guys like that. And a guy who is interested in getting to know you will put in the time and effort to get to know you. You know? So just a little insider tip and trick. These guys are definitely running by a playbook, and they kind of depend on you wanting that fantasy of getting married and having kids, especially if you're my age, mid to later 20s and up especially. They kind of already expect, like, you're pressed. You want to have kids like today. We need to stop, ladies. We need to stop with this desperation, because again, they depend on that to get you to lower your standards to get what they want out of you. So stop. And this is why, again, it is so important to have your own sense of self, identity, career, passions, hobbies, community, friendships, so that you don't go into dating or even just in life like with this desperate energy. Because I think this energy doesn't just come out or translate, in relationships and in dating, but just in your day-to-day. Like when you have a sense of self and you're confident and you have, like, taking it a step further, you have friends or maybe family that love you, that you can rely on, instead of just always like, oh, I wish I had a man, like, I wish I had a man to do this. It really puts you a lot more at ease. So in general, less people are going to try you, less people are going to try to take advantage of you, because you are living your life with that self-assuredness. And it's almost, I don't want to say relaxing, but it's just like more grounded and calming. Remember, ladies, it is not an aesthetic. It is not soft life cottagecore. It is not, oh, I just want a dream life where I milk the cows in the morning and then I just play with the kids and then I cook sourdough bread. Like, why are the tantrums never being taken into account? Or like if your husband never washes a dish or like puts his laundry even in the hamper? What if you find out he's cheating on you? What if your kids, like, someday your kids are going to be teenagers? What is the aesthetic like then? What if your body changes extremely during pregnancy? And that's not to say you shouldn't want that if that's what you want. But again, taking a realistic approach, especially in these days when so much of our choice is being kind of like taken away, or they're trying to take it away. It's important now more than ever that you focus on building that self-confidence and living a life for yourself and not for this unrealistic fantasy. So focus on self-growth, financial security, and personal fulfillment before anything else. And just know that when you are not in the energy of a man who's trying to drain all the life out of you, you have way more time to focus on your aesthetics. You're going to be prettier anyway. So if you're concerned about your aesthetic and you want the soft girl aesthetic, studies have shown that women who live alone have lower levels of cortisol, so we're less stressed out, we're more at peace, we're more relaxed, and therefore we're gonna look better, think better, be better. So I would love to hear your thoughts on the whole stay-at-home girlfriend thing, kind of the trad wife thing. If you are a mother and or a wife, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Knowledge is power. The option to choose is power. And let's not forget that. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.